Okay, so the tour of my guitars starts here with this one. This is part of my first really good guitar ever. I ordered this custom shop Strat in 1995 because they didn't offer this natural ash body, and then the next year they did for about half the price. So thanks, Fender. And I never liked the neck, and this guitar has been Frankensteined so many times, I can't even tell you, because a Strat you can do that with. So it's got Lust for Tone, 64 Lustcaster pickups. It's got a neck that my friend Mario Martin built because I didn't like the stock one. And it's just a chunkier Strat neck with a flatter radius. So it's kind of, it doesn't get played that much, but the pickups sound really, really good. So you should check out Lust for Tone as well. First guitar. We go from one Strat style guitar to another. Of course, the infamous Silver Sky from PRS. This is a maple neck version that I got from them at the NAMM show in 2020. I wanted a Strat style guitar to demo at the Universal Audio booth, and they said, hey, we're happy to get you a Silver Sky. We have a maple neck coming out. Don't tell anybody. And of course, I kept it a secret for about 8 hours and then got the demo at the show. But the story goes that this is the second one off the line. The first one went to the man himself, John Mayer. Really, really killer guitar. I'm a fan of the design as far as what they added to more of a traditional Strat style instrument. Love it. If you ever want to be a session guitar player, you got to have a baritone. I got this one for $400 from Pittsburgh Guitars in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's tuned B to B, but you can tune a baritone any way you want it. And I get to sort of do my Buddy Miller thing with this and just about any kind of fun baritone-esque Americana track. I'll throw this on. Really, really fun. So I love Thinline Teles, and I had this neck that was also built by Mario Martin's other company called Guitar Mill. And I just loved, I thought it was a perfect Tele shape. It was awesome. I sold the body it was on, and I said, hey, make me a Thinline with a Bigsby and a cool configuration as far as pickups go. So it's a silver foil in the neck, which I think is a Mojo tone. And then this is a Lindy Fralin P90 in a Tele size, right? Get that P90 in a Tele size. They exist. I got flat wounds on it. I want it to be kind of an old, dead, dark sound, particularly if I play slide on it. It's a little bit of a work in progress still, but it's a cool guitar. If you live in Nashville and you did sessions in the 2000s, or if you're just in a country band, there's a good chance you had to have a Ganjo. So I've had, this is my second Ganjo, and when I decided to get one, I got the most baller one I could find. This is a Deering B6. I saw that Keith Urban played one, and I was like, okay, sold. It's got a real electric style guitar neck on it. And it's a true banjo, and it's a Deering, so it's really good. And my friend in Pennsylvania named Charlie McVeigh, he's a pedal steel player and a machinist, made me a really cool, like, special bracket inside that has a Fishman rare earth pickup in it. So when I had to be that utility guy, I would use this. It weighs 1,000,000 pounds. I don't know how banjo players do it. And occasionally I'll tune it to Open G and use that for more authentic kind of banjo sound. It could use some strings and some love, but because I haven't used it in a while. But it sure looks cool. So this is a Teo Mando guitar. I saw this first in the hands of, again, Buddy Miller. He was playing with Emmylou Harris, had one of these, and I was like, ah, that is a secret session weapon. It's really fun for singer-songwriters and Americana tracks. It is a half-octave 12-string guitar. So it's like you took an electric 12-string and started it at the 12th fret, kind of, chopped it in half. This is what you get. You've seen these in the old days. Vox made one, and I think there's some other folks kind of copying it now. Fun story was that this one was going to go to Marty Stewart. He wanted one that was a little more blinged out, so I got this one when it was on the bench, and I've had it ever since. It's been a while now, almost 10 years. This guitar has more stories than you can possibly imagine. I am probably the 6th owner of this guitar, that I know of, in Nashville. It started its life as a 64 Junior, like above my shoulder there, but it was converted to dual humbuckers, and great guitar player in Nashville named Ryan Warner owned this first. He bought it after it was sort of already chopped up with 2 pickups. So he then had it refinished in this Pelham blue, and everybody said you're crazy. He did it anyway, and it looks awesome. So it's a single wraparound with 2 humbuckers, which you don't see very often, if ever. The tuners aren't original, the pickups aren't original, obviously. I think they're Lawler Imperials, not too sure, because I haven't even opened it up since I've owned it for like 3 years, believe it or not. Everybody asked me about this guitar. It's a 64, it's got that great early 60s sort of chunky neck on Gibsons. It's just awesome, plays great. I had it refretted, and it's just a fantastic instrument, really fun, with a lot of cool stories behind it. So here is a 64 Junior, which the blue one was originally. This is incredible. The best P90 I've ever heard in my life. I did an entire tour with this guitar, and I played every song in the set but one with it. So no pickup selector, just a volume control, and that was it. It's really, really great. If you get a chance, they're still on the vintage market, kind of affordable, and I would find one if you could. This is another Junior style guitar. It's a Ronin, and there's a lot of really some cool lore and story attached to this brand. I think they might still be making guitars, but they're generally made of redwood. So they're super light, very resonant, killer P90 pickup, and they're known for their foil pickups. This is sort of a single foil pickup, they call it. I got this from LA Vintage Music and in Burbank, and those guys are really good to me. It is a cool instrument. It's got a really interesting neck, and I kind of bought it as like an investment, and I really wanted one of those foil pickups, and I found it, and it was as close to my price range as these guitars could get. So here it is, TV yellow. Who doesn't love that? Everybody needs a pink guitar in their arsenal. Mario Martin built this for me. It is super lightweight. It's a Jazzmaster style instrument. It's made of paulownia, which is indigenous to Tennessee, from what I've been told. Lust for Tone Jazzmaster style pickups. They made these pickups right after some 59 Jazzmaster pickups that they were able to source out and copy them. Mastery bridge. It's a cool guitar. I've done a lot of touring on this one too, and flat wound strings. That's a secret. Try flat wounds if you haven't. It'll transport you to the 50s. Another killer find on Reverb. I really wanted an old Harmony, and the Rockets are cool, Stratotones are great, but I did some research and I found out that the H64, which I think this is, was kind of like their answer to a 335. It's got a real deal neck on it, and it's not unplayable like a lot of Harmonies are. It could use a fret job, it could use a new nut, but I got this with the original gold foil humbuckers in it, aftermarket Bigsby, case, it played great, $700, something like that. It was a steal, and I use this on a lot of tracks because it doesn't sound like anything else. And again, flat wound strings. I love Gretches. I'm not a Chet Atkins style player or anything like that, but these are great for recording and creating a sound that falls somewhere between a Fender and a Gibson. I've had this one for a long time. I put TV Jones pickups in it. It's been a while. I know it's like kind of the classic Filtertron sounds. I don't remember which model exactly. And yeah, I bought this when I got into a swing band in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I had to bring the Setzer thing. This is what I did. I had a Guild Starfire 4, and it was just not cutting it at all. So the Gretsch did the job, changed the pickups. I thought about selling this guitar a bunch. Every time I plug it in, I'm like, nope, don't sell it. So this is definitely one of my favorite guitars in this room. It's a 61 Epiphone Casino. Now, I was on the hunt for a 330 because I loved the way they sounded and recorded. So 330s and Casinos, well, the 330 came after the Casino, but they're completely hollow. There's no center block like a 335. And they have P90 pickups. A friend of mine who was always hunting for vintage guitars, he said, hey, I got something I want to show you. He brought it over to my house. He'd already bought it from the legend of Nashville, Tom Bukovac. This was his guitar. He's had a bunch of guitars in his possession if you watch any stories on him. And Tom had it refretted by the same guy that I get my refrets done, Greg Voros. He's a wizard. And so it plays great. It's a player for sure, but it's just super cool. I mean, it's John Lennon inspired. Keith Richards had one of these, and I was so mad at my friend that he bought this guitar because he knew I wanted one. And then he said, hey, I got to put a bathroom in my basement. You want to buy that Casino? And I rushed to it. So it's been a great guitar. I use it all the time. It's really, really cool. So in late 2018, I said, man, I'd love to get connected with a large electric guitar brand that could really give me some support touring and we could maybe partner and do some things. And it was no later that I had that thought, maybe than a week. My friend who had a long relationship with PRS said, hey, I submitted you to their artist folks. They want to help you out. I said, wow, that was really cool. So I get on the phone with them and they said, well, what are you playing these days? And I was playing P90 guitars and, you know, vintage Gibsons and stuff like that. So the folks at PRS said, hey, we have a single cut McCarty Goldtop P90 in the office. We'll send it to you if you want. And I had no idea what this guitar was. And man, it is, do your homework on the 594s because it's a really, really cool design. And this guitar, I've been using it a lot for lessons and a lot of different stuff for tracking because it plays in tune. It's really, really strong and tight sounding because that old 64 Junior, you put a capo on it, it doesn't really work so well. So this is a great alternative and it's just really cool looking. Here's another PRS. This is an S2 Standard 22 fret. I had no idea I would like this guitar as much as I would because I used this for a series of NAMM show demos that I was doing because I needed something with a coil tap and I needed something that was totally versatile, and I ended up touring a lot with this guitar. Super light, sounds great on high gain, and when I needed to do a little Tele or Strat thing, just pull the knob out and it was really, really convincing. And I'm never a big fan of the coil tap thing, but this one does it really well. And it's part of their S2 series, which is a killer bang for the buck. Another PRS that's really cool because I saw this color on an old PRS that was on Reverb or something. It's called Champagne Gold Metallic. It's not like a gold top. And the DGTs are notorious for being one of the best PRS sellers of all time. Of course, it's the David Grissom model. He and Paul created this design many years ago. And everyone says, if you got one PRS to get, the DGT is it. Now, the 594, I think, is rivaling it, and I like that one, too. But, man, this is a cool guitar. I opted for this color, moons instead of birds. The neck, I got it unfinished, so there's not a lot of lacquer on it. It's mostly just the oil from my hand now that's on there. And it says, custom built for me, which is pretty cool. Great guitar. I've been using this one quite frankly, almost all the time. I play just because it's super versatile and feels great. Killer neck shape. I like a chunky neck, and the PRSs of this style have it. So check out a DGT. You won't be disappointed. That sounds good. So I've been working with the folks from Martin Guitar for about 6 years or so. It's been a relationship. I've known them for many, many years because frankly, I grew up 20 minutes east of the factory. And I've been doing the artist clinician thing for them for a while where I'll go to a retailer and put on an event. And we get to play a lot of guitars. This one I found, it was such a good deal. It's a 12 fret guitar. It's called a OOO-15 SM, mahogany top, back, and sides. And it gives you more of that boxier type of sound, way different than a Dreadnought, and I just love it. I got a killer deal on it, and I'm using these retro strings that are more of a nickel style. Sounds super old and vibey. So these are a great value too. OOO-15 SM. So this is the first really good acoustic guitar I ever had. When I started doing demo stuff for Fishman back in 2007, I didn't have a really good acoustic guitar. I was frankly kind of embarrassed. So they said, hey, we have a relationship with Martin, and I ordered this one, which is called an M36. Now, an M36 is a quad O style body, like you have single O, double O, triple O, quad O. But to make things more difficult, they call it an M. So it's an M36, it's not a quad O36, even though that's the body size. So the short story is that this particular model, not this guitar, in the late 70s was really born from Martin's archtops. They got into the world of making archtop jazz guitars, which didn't go very well. And the story goes, David Bromberg took it to Matt Umanov in New York City, and they took the top off, and they put a flat top with a sound hole on it. And it became this guitar. And after a few years, they worked it into the standard production line. George Gruen loves this body style, and he orders a lot of custom Martins to his configurations and specs with this body size. This is rosewood and spruce, and it's got this sort of dark stain on it. But if you get one with mahogany back and sides, really, really killer. So it's a great all-around sort of in-between guitar. It's not as big as a Dread, it's not as small as a triple O. They are liked by lots of session players. Guys like, I think Charlie Worsham has one. So you see them because they're not overwhelming. And real quick story was, I went into a session one time with some pretty A-list guys that I was intimidated by. And they said, what do you got there, a couple Martins? And I said, yeah, I do. They said, man, I have this really cool nobody ever talks about called an M36. And I went, I got one. Okay, so that guy approves. Then the other guitar player said, man, I got a Martin at home. It's really great. It's called an M36. I was like, I am now validated. So happy I made the purchase. I've had it for over 10 years. Great guitar. So one of the things I get to do for Martin Guitar is test drive a lot of new and cool models, and this is one that they've loaned me for a little while now. It's called the D18 Modern Deluxe. Now we all know D18s and D28s, they're really like sort of the flagship models of Martin, but this one was a way that could kind of get them back to the future, essentially. You have a classic design, mahogany, spruce, but they've added a lot of new technology to the instrument. First of all, the instrument's super light, and they pulled some weight away from the instrument by putting a titanium truss rod in there. So it's not a steel truss rod. So it's about half the weight of a normal biflex truss rod that's in most Martin guitars. So we pulled weight away there. Light Waverly tuners. These gold Evo style frets are a little bit stronger than the normal fret, but not quite stainless steel. They give off this little goldish hue to them. This is a torrefied spruce top with Adirondack bracing, so it's really loud. That torrefaction process means the wood's been dried as it would be if it was from the 30s or 40s. There's also these liquid metal bridge pins that are supposed to give you some more volume, and there is a carbon fiber bridge plate in there as well, which actually is a lot lighter than spruce and projects sound. It almost reflects sound. It sends it out of the guitar in a really, really sort of almost vintage way. Like everybody wants their guitar to be loud and proud. When you're at the acoustic jam, this thing is going to do it for you. And it's like a feather. Really, really great guitar. Check these out. D18 Modern Deluxe. All right, that is a little guitar tour for you here at my little home studio. The collection and the family continues to grow, and I have to find new places for them. So that is not a bad thing as a guitar player. Thanks for hanging with me and looking at some of these babies.